Hello viewers, welcome to the Natural Products Expo West 2017 in Anaheim, California. My name is Martin Caballero, I'm a senior reporter with BevNet. I'm very pleased to be joined by Cheryl Book and Palo Hawken, the co-founder and the CEO of REBBL Super Herb Beverages. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. We're having a great time at the show.
Now, I was on my way here, I turned the corner, I saw the booth, and I had to do a double take because this is not the logo that I remember. You guys just had a redesign that is just launching right now here today.
Yeah,
Yep.
super psyched. You want to talk about it? He's the man that made it.
Absolutely.
It looks like a little cleaned up.
Cleaned up, stripped down. You know, we really got to the essence of the brand. The righteous plant alchemy is really the core of what we're talking about now. And we just took off the extraneous stuff and let the beauty of the core of the brand shine through.
You know, we're talking a little bit about the new products that you guys have on display here. One of them is the Lemon Tart.
So good.
Very nice, very good.
So good.
Tell me a little bit about the formulation in that, and I know turmeric plays a big part in that.
Yeah, well, turmeric is such a great ingredient. It's got such a great history. What we felt like our opportunity was to bring that outside of the sort of core natural consumer. How do you bring turmeric to the masses? And we played with it a lot, and I felt like this combination of turmeric and lemon with the coconut milk base, first of all, so unique. You know, nobody does a fruity, high-fat beverage. You know, you just don't see anything like that. But to do something that tastes so accessible, so easy for, you know, anyone, a child, an adult. People, you know, love lemonade. They love the, you know, alkalizing effects of lemon. And to marry that with something that tastes basically like lemon meringue pie is just a unique offering that just, you know, there's no friction or resistance in the consumer to this one.
Well, and the fat is all from coconut milk, so it's all pure to the core.
You guys have two new coffee products as well. It sounds like that's a category or section that's doing pretty well for you guys, the coffee?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
For us, you know, the consumer is really telling us how much to invest in coffee. You know, we put something out, we put one SKU out, and it did really well. And what happened is we felt like the work in protein that we were doing and the success of the coffee, just there was a natural marriage that the consumer was asking for. You know, to deliver the plant-based protein equivalent of 2 eggs with your cup of coffee and something that tastes as good as, you know, melted coffee ice cream with the super herbs, is just, there's nothing else like it on the market. And it immediately, just in, you know, a few weeks of being on the shelf, you know, rocketed to the top of our new 3 new product launch.
Yeah, and we have 3 cold brew SKUs now.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other one is, as you mentioned, there's the protein, as you mentioned, and
Yep.
then the unsweetened Reshi cold brew.
Yeah,
well.
and unsweetened, you know, is a natural for us and for our consumer. Everybody's looking for lower sugar. Everybody needs a place to go when it's not about sweet. It's about, you know, just the functionality. So to offer something of that quality that tastes that good without any added sugar was, you know, it's just, you know, it's almost like the cost of entry in the health food market these days. You know, you've got to have one foot in that space, and this came out great.
So you mentioned the turmeric in the lemon tart, and I know that you guys have been working with adaptogenic ingredients for a long time and sort of at the forefront of that. How do you continue to sort of communicate the benefits of that and sort of explain that to consumers who may not be familiar with reishi mushroom or some of these other ingredients that you guys are sort of highlighting?
Yeah. Well, the truth is these are difficult stories to explain. They're very complex. Cheryl's heard the story many times, and it takes minutes, you know, if not a full 5 minutes to give a deep story on adaptogens. So I think we've sort of realized what the limit of what we can do on the pack is. What we do is we offer just enough of sort of the tip of the iceberg, the intrigue that allows people to feel what the possibility is, but often they're doing their own research. You know, they're the ones going out, finding the data that's so widely available now. And it's a great place to be because we're riding the cultural wave of these ingredients. We're not the ones that have to create it. You know, we're pioneering in terms of consumer packaged goods, but we aren't, you know, it's not like we invented an ingredient that we need to then create awareness globally on. These ingredients, like Reshi, they have a household penetration of, you know, near 100% in cultures of 1 billion people or more. So, you know, in a globalizing world, to be championing ingredients that already have that kind of awareness, they just haven't sort of crossed the oceans to this country, is a great benefit to a startup company like ours.
Well, and I think what's really important about the philosophy behind REBBL is the product tastes exquisite. Palo is an artist. That's what he does, and it welcomes people in. So they come to love it, and then they become more and more engaged with the story, what these herbs are, what they can do for you, and really the benefits of the plant queendom, which our whole line is based on.
And turmeric obviously is one. You mentioned some of the other ones. How going forward with innovations, are you guys looking for different ways to use some of these similar ingredients? Are you guys looking to find new adaptogens or sort of introduce new things? How do you guys sort of set out your innovation?
The way that I look at it now, we were really a super herb-based company at launch. But the way I look at it now is we're bringing the world's healthiest ingredients, plant-based ingredients, in the best tasting products, money and time can buy. And I think that is the kind of the core of our brand now is to expand, beyond adaptogens and to be, the explorers and the offerers of the world's greatest ingredients. Of course, plant-based. This is our, the corner of nutrition that we really focus on. We know plant-based diet is a huge part of the solution to climate change. So, we don't talk about that actively on the packaging, but it's a philosophical point of departure that's, really the heart and soul of the brand.
And would that maybe suggest that you guys are maybe looking outside functional type drinks, maybe something that would be more of an indulgent choice or sort of going away from tying into function?
I would say function is also a core of the heart of this brand, but I would say that as this brand starts to proliferate out into the world and get, maybe in some cases beyond beverage someday, we are going to be much bigger than an herbal delivery system. And that's going to be an exciting day. For now, we got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of growth to support in our core values.
So just looking a little bit broader at the company itself, I know you guys recently got some new investments. Sort of going forward, where are you trying to expand? What retail channels? And sort of how can the company use those resources to go further?
Yeah, well, expansion is very important to us from the standpoint the consumer has spoken, as Paulo talked about. This brand, the velocity is through the roof right now. So we know that the consumer is ready. So we will always stay true to our core natural, where our heart has been. But more and more retailers are embracing natural. And we will start to expand into other conventional retailers that get it and support the functional space in a very powerful way. So that is a critical part of where we're going to be going with our expansion. But we've just started in terms of marketing and everything that we're doing to support the brand. This is the beginning. So we're ready to go, and we're psyched for this year. It's a huge year for us.
Yeah, I'd say this is the beginning of sort of the next phase after proof of concept. There's always some years where you're really trying to understand what your relationship with the consumer is. And when something has been validated to the degree that it is now, there's a sense of investment, distribution, marketing, and all the support that goes into bringing the message outside of that really sophisticated inner circle of shoppers that explores and shares and loves things at a depth that not everybody does. But these products, like the new turmeric SKU, benefit everybody, and they have a taste profile that really could be loved by everybody. So there's no reason not to dig in and put the money where our mouth is and get this out to the masses.
Well, and I'd like to add to that to say what's really important to us too is the expansion of our team and also the expansion of our message in terms of supporting Not for Sale, a nonprofit that is all about eradicating modern day human trafficking. We were born out of this nonprofit, and we need to continue down that path, and our investors are very supportive of that as to how do we expand that work through not only the 2.5% of net sales that we give on every bottle purchased to Not for Sale to help them to eradicate and support people who have been through trafficking, but also to start from the beginning. And we do a lot of work with our growers to make sure that they are supported in their livelihood so they're never vulnerable to trafficking to begin with. And I'd like to give just a little stat. There are 30 million people around the world who are being trafficked, 80% of which are women and girls. It is the fastest growing illegal industry in the world, right behind the drug trade. It's second. So it is a huge problem, and you know what makes it worse, and this is the big path we're on with this industry, is climate change. When climate change happens, it puts people that are already in poverty into desperation and extreme poverty. And that's when they're most vulnerable to the sex trade and the slave trade. So this is at our heart. There is nothing more important to us than addressing that issue. And so that is what we're going to be doing with expanding our money.
Well, that's great to hear. And I want to expand a little bit about that, about your sort of environmental mission and looking into sustainability. I know all your products are made with coconut milk. How do you guys sort of work to close the loop and maybe use all of the coconut, or sort of make sure that you're being responsible in terms of the land and keeping that sort of ecosystem going?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a top line, just to be an organic company, as we learned on Climate Day, is the first step, is to take a lot of those, energy intensive, chemical fertilizers and nitrogen, based fertilizer out of the system is a big piece of it. But then to, use coconut products, one of the value of coconut is it's not an annual monocrop. You're not plowing the soil, you're not, replanting, and you don't have a lot of, biological waste, that comes from, let's say, growing sugarcane or something. So when you can take a single tree, like a coconut tree, that is, planted in a way where there's multiple species in one area, so that you have a full kind of living and healthy ecosystem, and then from that one tree you can harvest the water, the meat, the coconut fat, and get a high quality sweetener that has a much lower carbon footprint than all the other, typical cane sweeteners or corn-based sweeteners.
In our organic coconut sugar.
Yeah, organic coconut sugar. I mean, you got the beginnings of a story of the future of food production that's about like food forests in a way versus, these giant, clear-cut monocrops that are basically overwhelming, the tropical forests of our world.
And Cheryl, I wanted to ask you about your new career as an author as well. I know you have a book that's sort of chronicling your experiences and sort of leading up to this point. So what are some of the lessons that you like to share with people who are, maybe looking to go into the business, or just young entrepreneurs about, how they should get started and how they should approach the game?
Well, I'd like to share the book. It's called Killing It, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Keeping Your Head Without Losing Your Heart, which is really the point. Sure. Through my experience, I've gone through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and I've learned in some ways the hard way. And I'm very raw in this book because I think a voice needs to be given from entrepreneurs to say, you know what, this is hard. And even though we're told to always be saying how perfect everything is, everything's great, you know what, there's hardships out there, and a lot of people are suffering because of it. I want to change the conversation to about a conversation that's real and about what entrepreneurs need to be supported, because the health of the entrepreneur is paramount to the health of the company. And what I found in REBBL, it's like the culmination of everything I've learned, and I know now how to do this ride the right way, and I just couldn't be prouder of everything this team is doing, what this brand is doing, its impact on the market, its impact on the environment and people throughout the world. And this is a purpose that we care so deeply about. So I know how to do it, and I want to share what I've learned with a lot of other people who are just starting out, who maybe don't have to go through it the hard way, the way I did.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a fantastic rest of the show.
Thank
Cheryl,
you.
Palo, it was really great. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Marty.
Thank you so much. That was fun.